Good day, everyone. Welcome to the video of the day. So, there are investors in this world who never panic sell, never chase memes, never watch CNBC at 2 a.m. They quietly manage roughly $15 trillion, and their moves are the biggest macro signal most retail investors never track. Yes, I'm talking about sovereign wealth funds, and right now they're making some of the boldest bets in the history. So here's exactly what they're buying and what they're doing. Let's start with the numbers first. So sovereign wealth funds globally now hold a record of $15 trillion in assets only. That's larger than entire GDP of many countries. In 25 alone, they poured roughly $66 billion into AI and digital infrastructure. And that's not a passive allocations, that's a strategic bet, and the Gulf is leading into it. Yes. Abu Dhabi's Mubadala invested roughly $12.9 billion into tech in 2025 alone, the single largest sovereign wealth fund tech allocations globally. Kuwait Investments Authority came second as roughly $6 billion. Also, Qatar has invested roughly at $4 billion. Together, just three of these Gulf funds accounted over a third of the global invested of state-backed funds worldwide last year. So now let us go through the line moves because this week alone is the major news. Yes. So this yesterday, Kuwait Sovereign Wealth Fund announced a $10 billion investments into AI infrastructure with a venture alongside with KKR, Nvidia, and energy company Vistra. And this new entity will be called as Helix Digital Infrastructure and will be building data centers across US. So Kuwait is putting sovereign wealth directly into Nvidia-backed AI computers, and that's a headline from last 24 hours. Also, Mubadala Group committed roughly $1 billion to OpenAI as a part of UA and US AI partnership earlier this ago, and will be developing into infrastructure, semiconductors, and US tech also. Saudi Arabia's PIF has invested across sports, tech, and real estate globally, part of the vision of 2030 diversification away from oil. And PIF is one of the most aggressive deal makers of any sovereign wealth fund right now. And Norway's NBIM, how can we forget, the world's largest sovereign wealth fund at over $1.9 trillion, will at a record of 1.3% into Nvidia and 1.2% roughly into Apple is invested, and will be the biggest fund using AI to manage its AI investments. Also, UK has launched 500 euro million sovereign wealth fund in April 26, specifically to back British AI startups. And where the most insights of retail investors are going to miss would be that sovereign wealth funds are the world largest horizon capital and even longest too. They don't need quarterly returns. They invest for 20 years, 30 years, and even 50 years too. So when they move this decisive into sector, roughly I would say $120 billion committed to AI infrastructure in next 2 years. This will be a generational conviction signal. And also, let me tell you, they are not buying hype. They are buying infrastructure, data centers, commodities, semiconductor plants to compute network, and the plastic at the physical layer of AI economy. And they have information advantage, which retail investors simply don't have. So access to private deals, government intelligence and the best analysis on the earth, which make sure that they will deposit a big billions. Tracking sovereign wealth fund essentially copying the world's smartest, most patient capital before the trade become obvious to everyone else. So this is not a financial advice, guys. So, but here's how informed investors are thinking about this. So all the listed sovereign wealth fund are adjacent plays, Mubadala, PIF, and they are not publicly traded, but their portfolio companies are tracked, which they are buying and looking for listed equivalents. Also, semiconductor exposure like Nvidia, ASML, Norway's NBIM owns all three. When the world largest sovereign wealth fund hold 1.3% of Nvidia, that's a signal, guys. You need to look out. So roughly $15 trillion and $66 billion into AI last year. Kuwait has just dropped $10 billion yesterday. That the smartest long-term capital on earth has made its bed. The question is whether you are paying attention to it or not. Make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, family, and colleagues too. Subscribe so don't miss it. See you then. Welcome to Money Brief. Let's grow together.